Hey everybody, it's KJ. I am just wrapping up my visit to NTEA. I was here all week for Work Truck Week 24, and as I'm packing up my stuff, I get a chance to hang out in the media room, and there's several magazines and several radio shows and TV shows that have been in and out of the media room, and I had a chance to strike up a conversation with a young man my age, and we found that we had some common interests. As we talked back and forth, we both realized that we have responsibilities for podcasts, and he's in a similar space that I am. And so I said, hey, would you consider being a guest on my show? And he was so kind and gracious to say yes. So guys, I want you to give a warm welcome to Kurt Moreland. He's the associate publisher with Utility Business Magazine, and he's also handles Utility Fleet Professional Magazine, Utility Safety Conference, and a bunch of other ones. So he's the consummate professional, and we're going to talk about some ideas that I think will benefit you guys. So, Kurt, how are you?
Man, I'm doing great. I mean, I just had a great NTEA work truck show. It was very fulfilling. And I got to admit to you, though, it's a long haul. It's an all-week thing. So here we are Friday afternoon wrapping up. And I'm starting to get a little tired. But then I met you, and we started talking about marketing and the market, and reinvigorated me. And thank you so much for having me as a guest on your podcast, KJ. Really appreciate it and look forward to our conversation.
Well, it's the same here, brother. So one of the things that we're trying to do here at Service Trucks USA is to bring value, because we know their time's super important and they don't have a lot of time to be listening to guys ramble. So you go, well, why would KJ want to have a marketing guy on the show, and how is that going to benefit us? Well, I'm pleased to tell you that whether you want to or not, you're always selling, man. Every day, whether you're turning wrenches, whether you're hiring mechanics, whether you're dealing with vendors, no matter what, there's always sales involved. There's always marketing. You're either selling yourself or you're selling something else. Am I right?
You are totally right. And you know what? You took me all the way back to my college days. There was a sales manager that introduced me to the book called How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins. I call that the Bible of Sales, and you can use it for everyday life too. If you haven't read that book, find a way to get it and read it. It'll change your life.
So today's podcast is, again, designed to give you guys some extra tools so that you can make more money, deal with less struggle in your day-to-day life, and also, hopefully bring a smile to your face. So let's talk about your background, Kurt. How'd you get started in marketing?
Yeah, so I actually went to a marketing college, Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Southern Illinois. And I was going to go work at an ad agency, and be like Darren Stevens on Bewitched, and invent the next Tony the Tiger. And we had this guy stop in and talk to our class about advertising sales. And he just said, all the media has to be sold. And if you get into that, then you have an opportunity to make more income, because rather than be a salaried employee, you have an opportunity to get commission and benefits and bonuses. And I said, hey, that sounds good to me. So I pursued that. I worked for a couple newspapers, a couple of magazines, and then I was invited to a lunch where a retired publisher was asked to start a magazine in the utility fleet, crane truck, service truck market. And I got involved with it, researched it for him. We found out that there was a need in the market, and I started on that. And believe it or not, I've been in and out of this magazine for over 30 years now. So hopefully I have a lot to share.
That is wonderful, because what I find is that the more we know, the more dough. The more we know, we get more dough. How's that?
Yeah, knowledge is power.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I'm intrigued by is the fact that you are working in basically a parallel universe to where I'm working. My focus is on the service truck with a crane or without a crane, but it's field mechanics. And basically, you're doing the same thing, but you're focusing more on the guys that are working in the utilities, right? They're doing infrastructure, et cetera. Am I right on that?
Absolutely. So when, coming back to the Work Truck Week here at NTEA, the way I like to introduce our magazine is that under the Work Truck umbrella, we are the bucket truck, crane truck media. That's our niche. Nobody else does that better than us. So I think what makes our market unique, which is parallel to yours, is you've got aerial booms, you've got hydraulics, pneumatics. Not every truck fleet has to deal with things like that. And I gotta say, the service trucks, they are, if it wasn't for them, all the other construction equipment and the bucket trucks and the crane trucks wouldn't work.
That's true. Now, when it comes to your magazine, how many subscribers? Is it a subscriber model or is it based upon sponsorship? How do you guys make it work?
That's a great question. So we've got 7,000 readers in North America. It's a print mail magazine. Our target market is middle-aged men who still prefer to read their print magazines after work. And so what we do is you can get a free subscription to the publication by going to our website, utilityfleetprofessional.com. If you are in the service truck business, you can get a free subscription. It's totally free. We'll mail it out to you 5 times a year. We have 5 issues because all 5 are tied into key industry trade shows. And then we are sponsored though. So that's how we are able to provide this free service to your listeners, is that a lot of the truck OEMs run advertisements in the magazine, so they basically sponsor the content that we provide.
So for you guys that may not know this, magazines, podcasts, radio shows all rely on advertising dollars in order to stay afloat. That's why they're in business. So when you look at a magazine, if it was 100% filled full of ads, you probably wouldn't look at that magazine for very long. So they have what's called editorial content within the magazine. And that's stuff that should benefit you. That's stuff you can learn. So Kurt, tell me, what are some of the editorial topics that you guys cover in your magazine?
Well, first of all, you brought up a really good point. I think the key to the success of our magazine is our editorial quality. We write our own articles, we research our own articles, and what I like to say is that's what makes us unique, in that it's not information that you can go online and easily find. So that is a big differentiating point out there. And some of the subjects that we're covering right now is idle reduction to help with fuel. The bucket trucks, the service trucks obviously have tools on them, and typically in the past you ran your diesel engine for that and used up a lot of fuel. There's a lot of new products on the market now that are like battery powered sources that help relieve that. We're also covering EVs a lot. That's been a kind of an up and down a thing. So we're keeping the pulse of that. And of course, we're just all about truck chassis, truck bodies, accessories, cranes, anything that goes on that type of a service truck, we're covering it.
So when I look at a utility truck, I see a whole lot in common, and I expect that there's going to be a bunch of folks that are going to join with us here at Service Trucks and that happen to be working for a municipality or a public utility or whatever. And I can see where there's definitely going to be some overlap. Where would you say is the number one opportunity for my listeners to learn and gain insights about their trades, whether it be a publication, or what sources have you come across or would you recommend for guys to gain knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, definitely magazines like ours, because, and then also I would think there's a lot of value placed on going to regional trade shows and conferences. I know it's really tough for employers to let their employees go to these events. They don't, you don't want to leave the office. You're afraid you're going to miss something. But the people that I talk to who go to these conferences, the amount of information that they're able to share and gain from their peers becomes so valuable. They start to realize they're not the only ones with this problem, or maybe they have a challenge and they can talk to somebody else that has solved that challenge. So the information sharing at face-to-face events is really important. I know we're in like a social media world, but you just can't beat the face-to-face interaction still.
Do you think that print media is going to survive?
I think in some industries it will, and then some industries it will go digital. It's interesting. I might be at a party and somebody says, well, what do you do for a living? I say, I work for a print magazine. And they go, oh, they still exist? Well, yeah, I mean, if you're in the computer market or the software market, chances are, trade magazines are still not going to be around. But, there's still a lot of industries where they appreciate consuming their news through a print magazine, like construction, logging, our market. I would say, maybe some old school markets. And, I would answer that question by saying, until all the middle-aged people retire and all the millennials who are used to consuming their news on their iPhone take over all the management jobs, there'll still be a spot for print magazines.
That's cool. Now, tell me this. When you were in college and you knew kind of early on that you were attracted towards advertising and journalism, right? Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
What did you learn back then that's applicable now?
Well, right away, a story came to mind, which ties into your last question. I remember I was in a lecture hall in college, and this professor stood up in front of the lecture hall, and they showed us a CD, and announced to us all in class, print is dead. It's going to be gone. Everybody's catalogs and everything is now going to be printed on a CD or DVD or whatever you want to call it at the time. And here we are. We still have viable print media. So it's not going away anytime soon.
So did any of the lessons that you learned pertaining to marketing and those type of things, are any of them relevant today to you? Like, are you able to transfer some of those skills you acquired 30 plus years ago and utilize them now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember taking an advertising design class, and they talked about different colors, how you use them, and how they're used. For example, the red type or font is seen for excitement. Blue is seen as loyalty. And then, of course, you have your highlighter colors. So I find myself quite a bit even if I send an email, using red and blue fonts just to carry, that message where it needs to be.
Sense. Yeah.
The other thing is Journalism 101, we learned the inverted pyramid, which means tell the most important aspects of the story right up front, in the headline and in the first two lines. So if they don't read any further, they still get that message. So that's important. So when you're writing a product news release or something for your company, you want to have that catchy headline. If they don't read past the first or second sentence, you want to get your message right in there. And then the inverted pyramid, provide the details as they trickle down.
Okay, that is some good advice. So I want to make sure I transfer everything to my way of understanding it. So the guys visualize a funnel or a pyramid. The base is on top and the point is in the bottom. And what Kurt is saying is that anytime you need to communicate a message, an important message, get the good stuff out first, right?
Yes. Don't put it in chronological order. Put the meat and potatoes in the first couple sentences, and then if the reader continues down, they'll get the details.
Okay, that's significant because you may not get a second chance to make that first impression, right? So they're making a quick decision whether or not they want to read your article, and if you don't capture their attention, they're gone. Okay, so from a marketing standpoint, let's spend a few minutes sharing ideas that the average independent sole proprietor or small shop with 2 or 3 mechanics and 1 or 2 or 3 trucks, what should they be thinking about in order to grow their business?
Well, that's a great question. And ironically, I had dinner last night with one of my coworkers, and we actually covered that subject. And there's a lot of important do's and don'ts, and there's a lot of free opportunities out there that companies are not taking advantage of that we talked about. So, number one is most journals or even regional publications have product news section, and that could be if you're introducing a new product. Maybe you won an industry award. Maybe it could be a ribbon cutting ceremony. You're opening a new facility. That's something you want to take a 4-color photograph of. You want to attach it to an email. You want to create a list of your regional editors, publishers, people who are in your area. Do a little bit of research and find out the associations, the publications that serve that region. Like a lot of cities or regions have a business magazine or newspaper, but there's also industry associations, regional associations. Email that news out to them, attach a 4-color photo, again, in your subject headline, something really enticing, and then just a 1 or 2 paragraph about the photo. It's called a new product release. With my associate the other night, we were joking, there's so many companies, even some very large Fortune 500 companies, that don't even take the time to do this, and it literally takes a minute or 2.
That's such a good idea, and actually I haven't even thought about it. But what you're telling me is that there's opportunity to get your message out free if you'll just take the time, because they have another problem. The advertiser, that other company, they're looking for content, right? So you're scratching each other's back. So you get the message about, let's say you acquired a new service truck. Let's say you got a new track press. Let's say you hired a brand new employee. You hired somebody from the local high school. That's all good news. And you should share that on a regular basis with your community so that they'll tell their friends. You can also, I just thought of an idea, look, you got me thinking, you can form your own network of constituents, guys, gals, people that you know, that you've met over the years, and you could put your own little newsletter together and just share the good news with your fellow, the other people that you know. They could be in other states, they could be in other cities, but they'll celebrate your successes, and who knows, they'll know somebody else, and the next thing you know, you got a brand new client.
Well, that's true. And yeah, you don't even need to reinvent the wheel. I mean, it's great if you can do your own e-newsletter, but there's probably ones out there that already exist.
Okay.
And that's what you need to do, is just need to set aside a little bit of time, maybe even if it's at the evening at home, and just get your product news out to your community.
Okay, so we also have a bunch of new multimedia. We got TikTok, we got Instagram, we got Facebook, we have LinkedIn, and I'm probably forgetting a couple of them. Are any of those going to be helpful to our constituents, the guys that are in our service trucks and utility trucks? Should they be participating in any of those types of media tools?
Interestingly enough, I actually did go online, and there are some Facebook groups for service trucks, bucket trucks. So yeah, you can go out there and you can join them for free. Another thing that I've done too is with Facebook is you can boost posts. So you go to post something and it'll give you an option as a business. Do you want to boost the post? And you can either boost it to your community, or you can go into the demographics box and you can pick a geographic region, or you can pick a category of demographics that you want to. And I've boosted posts to, maybe you can boost it to thousands additional, and it's for maybe $50 extra.
That's a good idea. Now, here's another idea that we're brainstorming about on ways that you guys can grow your business. Here's something that just popped into my mind. If you'll take the time to, I'm going to make up a phrase, I'm going to call it reverse engineer your customers. Okay? If you'll identify, put together a spreadsheet, put the name of the decision maker that's affecting your bottom line, the guy, the person that's approving the check and sending you money. And then LinkedIn is a wonderful tool because a lot of those guys are in LinkedIn and you can look to see who they're connected to, because LinkedIn is in the business of connecting people, and they'll suggest similar people that are basically at the same level that your decision maker is, and now you can reach out and market directly to them and grow your business, because more than likely that person that's signing your checks, your vouchers, knows some other people that do the exact same thing that he does. And that would be another way that you can market your business and grow it.
Yeah, I'm going to admit to you that on LinkedIn, every time it pops up that I'm celebrating my year anniversary with the company or my birthday, I get people in the LinkedIn community that congratulate me on those. And it does give you a warm and fuzzy.
It does.
So yeah, you can do things like that. And you know what? I'm even going to go back to old school, like back to the editors of your local newspapers and business journals. They're people too. So if you take them out for a cup of coffee or say, hey, I just want to take you to lunch, trust me, you get a better chance of your news items getting looked at, making that personal connection with the editor.
Okay. Here's another idea, guys, and that's a fantastic idea, Kurt. Here's another one. When I started in the automobile business, there was a thing that they used to make us do, and they were called Would You Take? Would you take? And what it would be is the whole crew, 4 or 5 salespeople, we would go to malls, shopping centers, any place where vehicles would congregate, and we would go through the parking lots and look at vehicles that we might be interested in having in our inventory for resale. And with our manager's help, we would make unsolicited offers on various vehicles. And basically would say, would you take $3,000 for your vehicle? And it would have our business card, our phone number, and our name on it. And we would be tasked to do that probably once or twice a week. And we'd go out and do it for an hour or two, and it would shake and rattle the trees, the fruit would drop, and next thing you know, people would show up, hey, I got this note, and I'm interested in trading, were you serious? Or I won't take 3,000, I want 5,000, whatever. But it gave us an opportunity for somebody to talk to. So what if we took that idea and applied it currently? How would we do that?
Yeah, I think that so many businesses are using email and social media that the pendulum is swinging the other way for old school marketing and sales.
Yes, sir.
And so I would invite your people, your members, get active with regional organizations, associations. Find out if they have a meeting. Maybe you can bring in a couple boxes of coffee and donuts. Some don't allow that, but you can do that. Maybe provide some golf balls if there's a local or regional golf outing. Just real simple. We call those PR things, community things that you can do to help your business stand out, from the others. So. That's one thing. Some of the regional meetings that I do, because I do national trade shows, but I also do a lot of regional trade shows too. An old school raffle, where basically, the old business card in the fishbowl. You don't have to have an electronic scanner if you don't want. It still works. But the key to that is if you're going to do a raffle, really find a unique prize. So what really slays me is that for a while, all the prizes now raffles at the booths are Yeti coolers,
Right.
Before that, they used to be iPhone attachments or Bluetooth speakers or something. You know what I do is I'm in the bucket truck industry. So you know what I raffle off? I raffle off a toy bucket truck.
Okay.
And people fight over it.
Yeah.
So if I was offering another Bluetooth speaker, but okay, so think about this. If you're in the truck industry and you're doing a regional show or business show or something like that, raffle off a truck, like a high quality die-cast toy truck that everybody's grandchild or child would like, and trust me, you will have people stopping by your booth and they will be interested in looking at what you're doing.
Well, those are some great suggestions, and if we come up with more, we'll put these on the website so you guys can have them as a reference, because Kurt and I are taking notes. We're bouncing ideas off each other. I'm going to take a slight detour now, because I figure, what good's a podcast if you're hanging out and all you're doing is talking business? Because there's more to life than just business. You agree?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so tell me about your personal life. Yeah, you got any kids? You married? What's going on with you?
Yes, I have a daughter who's a teacher, and my hobby is I like to hike mountains. So even though I'm a Midwesterner living on the plains, I've had a chance through business travel to go out to California and hike some mountains. I love going to our national parks.
If my fiance hears you, she's going to make me go hang out with you, and the next thing you know, we're going to be climbing some stupid mountain. Okay, so thanks a lot, bro, because now she's going to listen to you, and she's going to expect me, well, if Kurt can go, you can go too, right?
Well, Kurt's not going as much because now that I'm getting into my 60s, my knees aren't as good as... But I instead of climbing, a lot of the mountain hikes are steps.
Right.
But there's still a lot that are gravel trails, so I try and do that. Another thing that I've gotten into as well is kayak fishing. So I used to fish from the shore, and I didn't catch any fish. And somebody said, oh, you got to paddle out, you got to paddle out to where the fish are. And I started to do that. And a few times I've latched onto some large bass, and they've actually pulled the kayak, and I feel like I'm in the scene from Jaws. We got to get a bigger boat.
You know what? It's so funny you mentioned that. We have a lot in common. I went out and bought one of those Hobie PA-14 kayaks. Mm-hmm. And man, that stuff's hard work, man. It wasn't easy paddling that stupid thing and and the wind blows you all over the lake. Man, that was hard work.
It's a good workout. I would recommend to people, if you're first getting into kayaking, you can, a lot of the general sporting goods stores, I don't want to drop any brand names, but a lot of the places you shop sell kayaks at a very economical price. So get one of those as a starter, mm-hmm. and be prepared for this. The kayak may cost you $200, but the paddle is going to cost you $100.
Okay, all right.
So, but yeah, start out that way, see how you like it, and then if you like it more, then you can always graduate to maybe a bigger, heavier kayak after that.
Now, you and I were chatting earlier, and am I correct that you actually have a children's book that you started, that you wrote?
Yeah, so having been in the bucket truck, crane truck, and service truck industry for so long, I was at one of these trade shows, which is a family-oriented show, and the line people were there with their kids, and the kids were actually playing with toy bucket trucks again, as raffle prizes at the show. And I just thought, man, I wonder if these kids really know how much their parents do. We just wrote an article in a new utility security magazine that we're launching called utilitysecurity.com. You can get a free subscription to that too. That nothing happens without the power. The first thing that happens when a hurricane or a natural disaster goes through is they need to have the bucket trucks, the utility companies staged to get in there, because nothing operates until there's some power. Mm-hmm. So, keeping that in mind, I decided to pay tribute to that part of the industry, but not write it from a line person's perspective or from the human's perspective, but from the equipment's perspective.
Okay.
So
wait, you got talking trucks? Is that what
yes,
you got?
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. So the star of the show is Bucky the Bucket Truck. So he's called to the rescue after Hurricane Harry hits the Gulf Coast. And what's cool about the book is, it's probably like the book is called Bucky the Bucket Truck Saves the Day, but it could be subtitled Bucky and His Friends. And what I'm passionate about in this industry is the diversity of the products we have. We have everything from small EV cars to all-terrain vehicles that are like Sherman tanks and everything in between. So in order to restore the power, Bucky calls on these different types of vehicles to help him out, And at the end, he's worked so hard with his friends, he's exhausted, he runs out of gas. But fortunately, there's the new EV truck, Ellen the EV, his cousin, who can come in and rescue Bucky and do the last task. And so, yes, I just self-published this book, and it's available to people in the industry. And there's actually a website created now called Bucky, Buckey, book, BOOK.com. People can go on there. They can see sample pages. The young lady who illustrated this did a wonderful job. That's probably the biggest compliment I get about the book, is the illustrations are wonderful. And you can see samples of the pages on the website. You can order the book if you want to. And I just developed an attachment coloring book.
You know what? I have my first grandbaby, and he's a little boy, and he's 3 years old. I am going to order that book on my way home today. I'm going to get that book, and I'm going to get it for my grandson. I think that's a tremendously cool idea, and I've been buying him little utility vehicles or toys to get around, and I bet he would get a kick out of that book. That's cool.
Well, I'm sure I can supply that. And I'll tell you what, KJ, just for you and your listeners, we're talking about raffles. I'm going to supply you with a book and a coloring book, and you can raffle it off to your
there you
podcast
go, guys.
listeners.
Hey, if there was ever a reason to subscribe to Service Trucks USA, then you now have it. Let's get you that book. And you know what? I may even throw in a couple extra ones just to help you guys out. Hey, listen, it's been fun. What we wanted to do today is just visit. We're just two guys out here hanging, and we figured we had something in common. I did his show, he's doing my show, and we do everything we do for you. We're not here to waste your time. Hope you learned a little valuable insight about marketing. It's not something you can avoid. You have to do it. Every day you got to be selling yourself. You got to be promoting yourself. You got to be telling people about what you do. You also got to retain those customers, and you do so by using some of the techniques that we've discussed today.
KJ, can I throw in one more tip that I see this made across the board?
Absolutely.
And it's my pet peeve, and I want to spread the gospel here, okay?
Okay.
So when I see people develop a message or like an advertisement, what they'll do is they'll put their product and everything in there, and then they run out of room at the bottom. And they put their contact information super small. And then they'll come back and they'll say, why didn't I get any response? So what I want to encourage people to do, and I preach this to all my advertisers, is, make sure that your name, your contact information, which is your email, your website, cell phone number, however you want to track your response, however you want to be contacted, make it loud and proud. Don't
make it an afterthought.
Exactly.
And you know what? You just reminded me of something that I meant to mention earlier, but I'm going to cover it now. Okay, I'm going to challenge every single one of you to do the following. You need an elevator pitch.
Yep.
You need to be able to tell succinctly what you do and how it might benefit somebody in less than 30 seconds.
And I can use myself as an example. When I'm here at the NTEA Work Truck Show, I have a minute to introduce myself to somebody at a booth. And I'll just come up, and I'm Kurt Moreland, Associate Publisher with Utility Fleet Professional. Within the NTEA Work Truck umbrella, we are the bucket truck, crane truck, and service truck, magazine, and that's what makes us unique. And I want to find out, about your new products and the similarities we have in common. And that's how you get it going.
Exactly. So challenge yourself, do some role playing, practice in front of the mirror, talk to your wives talk to your husbands, talk to your kids. Just keep practicing so that it rolls off the tongue and naturally. Don't pigeonhole yourself and say, well, I'm not really good at talking to people. You have to be good. You've invested all this money, you've invested all this time, you've acquired all this skill. Don't be lazy, okay?
KJ, again, I have to jump in with something that I see a lot you're talking about. Okay, don't talk like an engineer. Okay?
Amen.
I see this all the time, is that when people are doing business calls or face-to-face or whatever reason, if you talk like an engineer, you want to tell them about where you got the bolts, why the screws are so important, how great the steel that you bought, where you bought it from. No. That comes down the road when they're ready to sign the purchase order. What you want to talk about up front is, needs, what benefits you have. Get that up front. Like you said, boil it down, make it a marketing call.
So here's the little KJ's wrap up for you, because I am a salesperson. I've been doing this pretty much my whole life. Here's the takeaways from marketing, okay? Be confident in what you do. Get yourself a 30-second elevator pitch. Be able to succinctly tell people what you do and how it would benefit them. Don't be afraid to ask for the business. Don't be afraid to create champions. Does everybody know what a champion is? Well, here's what a champion is. There's people that are never, ever, ever going to buy your product or service. They're just never going to do it. But they get a great deal of satisfaction in referring people and connecting dots. They're like the glue of our economy. Be on the lookout for those folks, because they can be a life spring of business and value. Keep an eye out. Don't blow him off just because he doesn't own a piece of equipment or whatever. He may be an influencer. He or she may be the person that's in the community that knows everybody and just likes to be very social. And that person will be out promoting you, and they don't cost you a dime other than giving them a nice baseball cap or a jacket, or offer to take them to lunch or dinner, and or buy them one of Bucky's books,
Yeah, again, KJ, and by the way, KJ, I think what you're talking about is people who are passionate in the market. I can tell you're passionate, and I think you can tell I'm passionate too. But one of the things that I find out is, like, when we're at the show and I'll go to a booth, and one of my pet peeve sales lines that I hear is, "Oh, I'm just a salesman,"
Yeah.
And what I say to them, and this is very true, sometimes I can provide all the market research why to buy an advertisement in our magazine. But when the phone rings is when they have a sales meeting and one of those sales guys says, "Hey, why aren't we advertising in this journal?" So that's, I when I see those sales guys, I go, you're not a sales guy. You are, you guys are the ones who make it happen. Let's face it.
Right.
People, sales and marketing people, they help the world go around.
So, bet you weren't expecting this on a Service Truck podcast, but that's what we're about here, guys. We're going to do this. We're going to help you get better. We're going to help you grow. We're going to give you confidence. We're going to help you do the things that you never even thought were possible. Tell your friends about this podcast, and I'm going to get you even more of my badass friends, okay? So, Kurt, thanks for hanging out and being silly with me. I really enjoyed our time together. I think our guys are going to benefit from this quick little podcast on sales and marketing for your small business, if you're in the service truck business. And a lot of this stuff applies to you sales guys and you guys that are vendors. We all work together, and every day we're selling, right? So, Kurt, anything you want to add before we sign off?
No, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be a guest, and I've had so much fun doing this. It really was a fun topic, and again, I hope your people get some benefit out of it, and it was a real pleasure meeting you.
Man, it was same here, Kurt. We're going to have a friend for life. All right, you guys, KJ is now signing off. Peace.
Time to go home.
Subscribe right now to Service Trucks USA
on your favorite platform so you'll never miss an episode. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Service Trucks USA. That's Service TRUX USA, where you'll get even more great content, discussions, and resources related to vocational service trucks. I look forward to getting to know each of you better. Until then, keep your fingers dirty and your nose clean. This is your guy, your man, your dude, KJ, signing off.